outraged. So I joined with a group of volunteers who became concerned citizens of New York '03, and we got to work on a grassroots campaign to force Santos's ouster from Congress. It seems incredible now, but in the early days, we actually thought our local Republican officials might join our effort, but they were completely uninterested. We thought the other members of Long Island's congressional delegation might speak up for us, but they gave us minimal lip service and then fell silent. And we thought our work would be done in a matter of weeks, but it took 11 months. For those 11 months, 770,000 Americans were deprived of the representation and advocacy that every single one of us should be able to expect in our representative democracy. Instead, we were treated to continued lies and ugly publicity stunts by George Santos and stonewalling by his Republican allies. The day in December 2023 when George Santos was expelled from Congress was the day those 770,000 people finally got relief. And today, nearly 18 months later, is the day we finally get justice. Don't get me wrong, this is not a happy day. A man is going to prison, but it's an important and necessary day. It's also an appropriate day to reflect on the lessons of George Santos. How was an obvious con man nominated, elected, and allowed to stay in office for 11 months? Trying to find the answer has been like turning over a rock and finding a rotten culture of lying underneath. The truth is that George Santos emerged from the culture of lying, he was protected by it, and he leaves it with us even as he goes off to jail. He is just one example of the way lying is corroding our democracy. An extreme and over-the-top example, but one example nevertheless. When a win-at-all-costs mentality governs a political movement, lies become commonplace and accepted as normal. Here on Long Island, the Nassau County GOP is a flagrant purveyor of lies, nominating candidates who lie frequently, both on the campaign trail and in public office. I have firsthand experience with this. When I ran for state senate in the last cycle, I was targeted by a deluge of baseless claims and outlandish falsehoods. I saw with frustrating clarity the way disinformation is polluting our local politics. And I realized with great alarm that our local press is no longer fact-checking politicians with regularity. So while Santos's sentence may give 770,000 people a measure of closure or a measure of justice, it does not give us closure. What would give us closure? Not just a few years in prison, but the restoration of a few truths in our public life. First, character matters. Second, standards of ethics, honesty, and transparency must be bipartisan. And finally, accountability is integral to democracy. And with changes in our information ecosystem, we need new ways of holding liars accountable. So that brings me to the future of this wonderful group of truth tellers, concerned citizens of New York '03. At first, we thought our work would end when George Santos was expelled, but it quickly became clear that we had much more to do in this fight against the culture of lying. As a grassroots group, we came up with a grassroots solution, the Deceive Nation Project, which will foster a network of volunteers who are committed to pushing back against propaganda, disinformation, and fear-mongering. This network will use the emerging information ecosystem to differentiate truth from lies and bring transparency, honesty, integrity, and accountability to our political discourse. We're proud to introduce this project today. We invite you to look at our website, our social media, and we encourage you to join us in fighting the culture of lying and restoring truth to our public life. Thank you very much.
No. We're going to hear from one more person, very short, Vasu Krishnamurthy, and he is from Manhasset. So we have people from all over New York 03.
Take a minute, 1 minute. Yeah, I know, again. Sorry. One mic. Doing the best I can.
That will be out of your way.
Good afternoon. My name is Vasu Krishnamurthy. I'm a resident of Manhasset, which is, as you know, part of New York District, Congressional District 3. It has been a long journey to see justice served to George Santos, but we are not relieved today. We are only comforted by it because Santos is an aberration. His buffoonery was so extreme that it could not be ignored or sane-washed. But we see all around us unprecedented damage done through lies, deceit, and misdirection by Trump and on down to his local cronies, Bruce Blakeman and Jen DeSena. Possibly.
Let's go.
Okay. Am I continuing or?
Yeah, there you go. No. Hey, buddy. Here, let's go.
Down in front.
I know. Good job. Good job, everybody. I know, all right? Now I'm not using it.
Down in front.
I'd like to. Okay. Mr. Morrison, would you like, hang on a second, please.
Okay,
Yes, again.
the speakers are going to come out shortly. I'm going to go in and bring them out, but I just want to give you the order of speakers.
All right.
I just want to go over the order of speakers with you, okay? The first speaker is going to be the United States Attorney, John Durham. D-U-R-H-A-M. The second speaker is going to be the FBI Assistant Director in Charge, Christopher Raya, R-A-I-A. The third speaker is going to be the Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Internal Revenue Service, Scott D'Alessandro, D-A-L-E-S-S-A-N-D-R-O. And then the last speaker will be the Nassau County District Attorney, Ann Donnelly.
Thank you.
Okay? I'm going to go inside. I'll go inside and bring them out. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go in and bring them out.
water deteriorating, our only public hospital struggles to survive, and our jobs disappear. The party in power in Nassau County is driving culture and energy streets to cement the mobile power and line the pockets of specialists, whether they are property tax consultants or litigation attorneys. They have mastered the tools of deception in order to get what they want. But the Santos case illustrates that the truth can be brought to light, and when it is exposed, people get angry and take action. We, the citizens of Nassau County, are fighting out. We are fighting back to improve the quality of our lives and safeguard our liberty. We will document every lie and every corruption and ensure that our citizens know about it. Please visit WCBS-TV.
I told them not to put the mics there. They're gonna get smacked on, I think. Oh wow, you know, I tried to.
So nobody's speaking at this, right? So let's at least lower it.
I think that can go away entirely. Yeah.
Right?
I know. Are they going on that one or this one?
Oh, they're definitely gonna.
No, they're going to go to the. They're going to go to the.
You don't put and.
No, that was the case.
This was the.
Santos.
Oh.
Very
impressive.
Yeah. All right, freeze. 1, 2, 1.
Mike. You're gonna Spectrum, you're gonna move again? Nobody to move it?
There's nowhere to move anymore. Thank you. Can someone do a mic check up there?
Can't have that there.
Mic
dude.
check,
I
mic
can't
check.
have that there because they're gonna put a binder.
They're
So
gonna
you're
put a
gonna,
binder?
yeah, they're gonna put a binder
All
there.
right, well, put it, how about right there?
Yep, that's cool.
All right, that works.
I am not a crook.
Oh, he's gonna read
do
from
that?
this?
Yeah, you see the it's good literature.
Is it invisible ink?
It's press proof.
Count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2, 3, 1.
You're a very good counter.
I don't know how you're doing this yourself.
I know,
not
it's
easy.
a lot. It's alright. What, the two guys? They were like supporters. He was, I think he killed his dog or. No, but he was good. He had good sound. I just want to let you know that besides what's going on at the podium, you have him coming in today. You have him coming out from the tripod far away, so I couldn't break down.
And I got him.
And then you have
I got
sound
him
with the order that says
going in. No, I got him coming out. Really good. Yes.
Yeah, I'll get that date for you. Daisy, what date is he coming back?
25, 25, July.
Turn yourself in here? Right, Did they address that?
87 was max, right? Max.
Jimmy!
Okay, let's delete that. No. So there's one more group of people.
And that's the prosecutor, right? The prosecutor? Yeah. Okay. They got every last minute you there.
I think
whatever jail they decide, that's where he goes. That guy who said the names of the people who were speaking. One of them over there. What do we got here? This group of,
They could just go up like that.
Yeah. Oh, the different hiker.
I think that might be alright. He's taller. Yeah, I think it might. How do you do this? You just go like this? Gotcha. I mean, this shouldn't blow.
If he wants to move it down, he can move it down.
I can't.
Oh.
I mean, he's pretty tall, so he should.
oh, okay. The white, carrying the white. Yep.
The guy holding the envelope.
Yeah, but I'm working my Slavic swap.
Down. Hey, come on.
Oh, you're so sad. I was with you. Oh, I'm with you. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm John Durham. I'm the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. With me today is Christopher Rea. He's the Assistant Director in charge of New York's FBI. Scott D'Alessandro. He's an Assistant Special Agent in charge of the IRS New York Field Office. And District Attorney Ann Donnelly. I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank you for your partnership. So a short time ago in the courthouse behind me, former Congressman George Santos was sentenced to just over 7 years in federal prison. He was also ordered to pay more than $370,000 in restitution and forfeit more than $200,000. And that restitution will go to his victims. Now, 8 months ago, Santos appeared in this same courthouse and he pled guilty. Pled guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. He admitted to engaging in a brazen crime spree that took place over a period of years. He stole personal identities and financial information of campaign contributors, made unauthorized transfers of money to his campaign and to himself personally. He defrauded prospective political supporters by convincing them to make campaign contributions based on false statements, and then he took the money for himself. He lied to receive unemployment benefits when he was not entitled to them because he had a job. He lied to the Federal Election Commission about the amount of money his campaign had brought in, and he used that to trick the National Republican Congressional Committee into giving his campaign money it was not entitled to. And he lied to Congress on his financial disclosure forms. From the moment he declared his candidacy for Congress, Santos leveraged his campaign for his own enrichment and financial benefit. He did this by targeting specific supporters and constituents. He saw them as easy marks, and he made them victims of his fraud. Santos's victims were real people, and they suffered real losses. He went so far as to seek out elderly people who suffered from cognitive impairment and dementia. Santos's blatant corruption is an affront to our electoral process, our representative government, and the people of New York's 3rd Congressional District. But today, and finally, Santos has been held accountable for his years of fraud, deceit, and theft. He's going to federal prison, and he's going to be punished for his staggering fraud, the abuses he put on our electoral process, for mocking our democratic institutions, and most importantly, for betraying and defrauding his supporters, his voters, his donors, federal agencies, state agencies. Today's sentence demonstrates that this egregious conduct will not and never will be tolerated. Now, Santos has been held accountable thanks to the tireless efforts of prosecutors from the Department of Justice and investigators from the FBI, IRS, and Nassau District Attorney's Office. I want to commend several people in particular. Assistant United States Attorneys Ryan Harris, Anthony Bagnola, and Laura Zuckerwise, paralegal specialists Rachel Friedman and Denora Roscoe from this office, trial attorney John Taddy from the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section, special agents Katrina Lapruta and Ken Hosey, and intelligence analyst Julianne Wolf from the FBI, Nassau County District Attorney's Office Detective Investigator Gavin Shea, and IRS Special Agent Samantha Keldeck. I'm not done. In conclusion, I want to assure the public and all of you that came out today that your faith in the government, in our criminal justice system, is warranted. Santos' disgraceful and greedy conduct has been exposed, and at last he's been brought to justice. And that same fate awaits those in public service at any level, state, local, or federal, who abuse their positions, and serve themselves and not the people they represent. Officials who lie and steal and defraud will find themselves in a courtroom, and they will learn, as George Santos has, that there's a serious price to pay for corrupt behavior. No one is above the law. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, Christopher Rea.
Yogo 3 thanks you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Rea. I'm the Assistant Director in Charge of our New York office. Today, former United States Congressman George Santos was held accountable for his repeated criminal dishonesty, financing his election campaign with ill-obtained funds, stealing COVID unemployment benefits, and providing materially false information in his financial disclosure. Santos abused his authority to garner illicit donations and campaign support, ultimately betraying the public's trust and violating our democratic systems. May today's sentencing emphasize the FBI's continued commitment to dismantling any fraudulent scheme designed to unlawfully benefit those in positions of power. Today would not have been possible without the tireless dedication of the FBI New York headquarters city, the Public Corruption Squad, and the squad located right here at our Long Island resident agency. I would also like to thank the Eastern District of New York's acting U.S. Attorney John Durham and his prosecutorial team, who did a phenomenal job with this case. Additionally, I want to extend my appreciation to the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section, IRS Criminal Investigative Division, Department of Labor's Office of Inspector General, and the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. The collective efforts across all agencies ensure justice was delivered today. I'll now turn it over to ASAC D'Alessandro from IRS.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott D'Alessandro. I am an Assistant Special Agent in Charge with IRS Criminal Investigation here in the New York Field Office. I would like to begin by thanking the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, John Durham, for hosting today's press conference and also for overseeing this important investigation through to its conclusion today. I would also like to thank the FBI's New York Field Office as well as the Nassau County District Attorney's Office for their incredible work on this case. Special agents from IRS-CI specialize in following the movement of illicit funds. This is exactly what the agent on this investigation did, tirelessly combing through financial records to determine how funds were spent. It became evident that Santos used his position as an elected official and public servant to conduct criminal activity. While U.S. campaign finance laws are designed to promote transparency in our electoral process, Santos willfully participated in a scheme to defraud not just his supporters, but also the United States government. This type of financial fraud is not a victimless crime. The American people, his constituents, his co-members in Congress, as well as his supporters and donors, are all victims in this case. These are individuals that place their trust in Santos to not only represent them, but to utilize their donations in accordance with the law. Santos instead used these donations for his own personal enrichment. Today's sentencing means that Santos will now experience the full cost of his deception. IRS Criminal Investigation will continue to work with our law enforcement partners and the U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate anyone who seeks to defraud or abuse the American financial system or the public for their own gain. While the agents at IRS-CI have known since our inception 100 years ago, is that the money trail will not lie. I now pass the podium over to Nassau County District Attorney Ann Donnelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ann Donnelly, the Nassau County District Attorney. I want to thank U.S. Attorney John Durham, the members of the FBI and the IRS who joined with us today. It is because of our continued partnership together, working together, that we were able to get the conclusion today that we did. And what a conclusion it is. George Santos spent his brief career in public service conning donors, misleading his constituents, and defrauding the government. He told lie after lie until it caught up with him, until we caught up with him, and exposed him for what he truly was, an opportunist and a fraud. And come July 25th, George Santos will finally be where he belongs, behind bars, answering for these crimes. George Santos was the polar opposite of what a public servant should be. He is without integrity, unconcerned with his constituents, and self-interested in every way. Designer clothes were more important to him than following the rule of law. Luxury more important to him than the oath he took to serve his country and the people who elected him. He had a responsibility to those people. They counted on him to deliver for them. Instead, they got an empty man in an empty designer suit, financed by fraud. A man who to this day is not truly remorseful for his actions. A man who failed the people of Nassau County, the people who trusted and relied on him. When I announced that I wanted to begin an investigation into George Santos, the Eastern District U.S. Attorney approached me and said they would like to work this investigation together. And we did. And it's that partnership that led us to today. The prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the investigators at the FBI and in my office, and the IRS did tremendous work to ensure that George Santos was held accountable for all his lies. Together, we will continue that important work, rooting out public corruption, protecting our communities, and upholding the standard of integrity we expect our elected officials to meet. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All of you have said that you're going to continue these public corruption investigations.
Thank you, everybody.
May I ask, haven't the IRS and the FBI officers been raised to investigate?
Will Santos have to serve all 87 months? Will he have to serve all 87 months?
See you, Brandon. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Hopefully, see you around. Not for something like this. Oh, yeah. I'm surprised you guys are in Suffolk County. Yeah. Well, it's your guy. So he's our man. He's our man. Yeah. You too. I'm sure I'll see you guys around. I saw you the other week. So yeah. True. Yeah. So I look forward to reading your byline. I was hoping to see you in that crazy pirate food guy. Dude. That was just. Yeah. When I saw your thing, I was like, I'm so sorry they had to drive me up that. It's like, oh, you need to talk to him once. Like, oh, bro, that guy was excellent. He was all over the place. Crazy. Wow. Bro, when I saw it, he got crushed so bad on that election. 1,000 votes. Yeah. And the year before, they had like 100 people that voted in total. Yeah, they had like. We're running inside. We got all our stuff in there. Yeah, man. Great to see you.
Is it live?
Yeah, we're ready.
Good afternoon. We're outside Central Islip Federal Court where we just heard from the prosecutors involved in the George Santos case. A victory lap of sorts, but also a warning. Their hope that his 87-month sentence in federal prison will send a message. We heard from the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District. We heard from the FBI, from the IRS, and from the Nassau County District Attorney. This was a combined effort over a couple of years, and in the end, they found George Santos had committed 5 different criminal schemes. But first, let me just give you the lay of the land here a little bit so you see what's going on. A tremendous amount of news media, as this is the culmination of a case that, of course, made headlines across the nation. One of the most bizarre cases in congressional history. George Santos lied his way into Congress, and today he learned the cost of those lies will be 87 months in prison. It's more than 7 years, 7 1/3 years. It's the full sentence recommended by prosecutors who said that anything short of that would not capture the depth of his deceptions. He was a professional fraudster, they said, and he arrived this morning and left without any comment to reporters, not his usual colorful self, usually a little snarky as he walks in and out of court. None of that. He was very somber, glum. He had eyes were red. It looked like he had been crying. And in court, actually, there were tears as he addressed the judge. And I'll read a little bit to you of what he told the judge. He read from notes. He had also written to the judge, but this was really stated through tears. He said that he is humbled. He has shattered the faith of so many. He takes full responsibility. He betrayed his supporters and the institutions that he was sworn to serve. He said that he cannot rewrite the past, but he did ask for a balanced sentence. And he had called the 7-year proposed sentence at that point absurd. He said he can still contribute positively to the community that he wronged. But the judge, Joanna Seibert, was having none of it. She essentially threw the book at Santos, disregarding or dismissing his argument that he was not the leader of any of these crime schemes. He, in fact, blamed it on Nancy Marks, who had also been charged with criminal conduct and has pled guilty, his campaign treasurer, that he, in fact, was not the leader. She was. In the end, the judge sided with the prosecution, that it was his campaign, he was the leader, and sentenced him to 87 months in federal prison. He will have to turn himself in July, so he has now several months to get his affairs in order. It was also revealed in court today that he has made hundreds of thousands of dollars through cameo appearances, more than $300,000. He's also made $200,000 in selling his rights to his life story to a documentary, but that he's paid none of that back to his victims in restitution yet. The government said that he has 21 people are direct victims of his fraud, including some seniors and people with dementia who he stole credit card information from. He has 21 victims, but they said that the largest victims are members of the public who he defrauded. And there are many members here of New York 3, the congressional district, and they said that they were grateful to prosecutors for bringing this to justice. So we're still outside court in Central Islip, just wrapping up as prosecutors have finished their remarks. Santos left without any comment and has a few months until he begins his 87-month federal sentence. Reporting from Central Islip, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS News, New York.
This has been breaking news.
This is CBS News, New York.
Hey everyone, Tony Sadiq with an update on your first alert forecast, and it's been a great stretch of weather, and we're going to stretch it into your Friday too, but that might be it because we've got some changeable weather into the weekend. Cold front will knock those temperatures down. It's a steep drop off Saturday into Sunday. It's going to be a lot cooler after that rain on Saturday. Highs today, lovely. Really warm, especially if you like June weather. That's basically what we're headed for. Numbers that close in on 80 degrees in city, parts of the Hudson Valley, Connecticut too. Danbury, you can see 79. 80s from Parsippany to Edison, Sussex. Keep in mind, it's going to be cooler along the coast where you are exposed to that onshore breeze. That'll act as some natural air conditioning. Clouds increase over time. There is some wet weather we're tracking across the middle of the country. All that gets swept our way as a cold front moves in tomorrow. Weather's dry during the day today. You'll notice the increase in clouds, increasing humidity, maybe a spotty drizzle late this evening, but then tomorrow morning, that's when the showers could become more widespread and numerous. It's a light to moderate initially, and then there's a break. Midday, doing any errands, lunch outside, should be okay. Maybe some sun, some spotty showers. Still have the rain gear because we're not completely done. We're waiting for the front to swing through. That may not happen until early evening tomorrow. And with that, there could be some heavier downpours, maybe a risk for some thunder. I think this will be sub-severe. Quickly pushes through the area, and that'll be that. But the clouds will be still sticking around on Sunday, and it's a cooler feel at the back half of the weekend. It's about 15 degrees cooler on Sunday, and it feels like the 50s with a wind that's pretty stiff. Last 12 days, not even a tenth of an inch. So we're falling behind, not just for the season and for the month, but now for the year. How much rain are we expecting out of this? Anywhere from about a half of an inch to an inch of rain. It's all beneficial. It'll help with the fire situation, with the air quality and the smoke too. But then the wind on Sunday could be a force to be reckoned with. 35 to 45 mile an hour gusts could make anything outdoors a bit of a challenge. It's a gusty game for the Yankees that day. Should be a nice game tonight. And maybe you want the ponchos handy for that afternoon game coming up on Saturday. Then we get into next week, and those temperatures rebound. You're back to bright skies. Really nice start to the week, but another front will arrive by the middle of next week.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Calvi. Now on air and streaming on CBS News New York. We begin with that breaking news in Lower Manhattan, where a man is dead after a subway stabbing during the morning rush hour. Police are still searching for a suspect. Zinnia Maldonado joins us from the scene. Zinnia.
Well, Mary, the stabbing took place around 8:30 a.m. this morning while everybody was out here just getting a start to their day. Police say that the stabbing actually took place inside the southbound 5 train, and then the altercation spilled out onto the platform. Police say a 911 call came in reporting that a man had been stabbed here at the Brooklyn Bridge City Hall station. When officers got here, they found a 38-year-old man with multiple stab wounds to the torso. The man was taken to Bellevue Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. His identity has not been released. Police say the suspect then ran off from this station. No arrests have been made. Police say the stabbing may have stemmed from some kind of argument between the victim and the suspect, adding that it may have all started when the victim stepped on the suspect's shoes, and then it escalated from there. Now, there's multiple entrances to the 456 lines here at City Hall. This happened closest to the entrance at the corner of Center and Chambers. Police taping off the turnstiles as detectives took over the station looking for evidence throughout the morning. Now, this morning, riders who tell me they hop on the train here at Brooklyn Bridge all the time, reacting to this stabbing.
I take them daily to go into the office, and the crowds are back, and people's, everyone's on edge. Everyone is just short fused.
I'm not surprised at all. And it needs to come to a stop sooner than later.
Now, the southbound 4, 5, and 6 trains are still bypassing the City Hall Brooklyn Bridge stop. So you want to keep that in mind. Meanwhile, police are still investigating this incident. No arrests have been made. We want to mention again that the suspect did take off from this station. We're live from Lower Manhattan. Zinnia Maldonado, CBS News, New York.
Zinnia, thank you. Stay with CBS News New York for the very latest details on this deadly subway stabbing. You can get updates 24/7 online at cbsnewyork.com. We're following 2 high-profile cases going before judges across New York. Disgraced former Congressman George Santos has just been sentenced to 87 months. And Luigi Mangione is getting arraigned on federal charges in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. We begin with that arraignment, and Alice Gaynor is outside court in Lower Manhattan. And Alice, what is the latest?
Mary, that federal arraignment this afternoon scheduled for 1 p.m. Still, overnight, lots of people gathered outside of the courthouse, waiting in line, supporters of his, hoping to get a seat inside the courtroom today. Luigi Mangione was arrested back in December, but only recently, 4 months later, was he federally indicted.
Last week, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione was indicted on 4 federal counts, which include 2 counts of stalking, a gun charge, and murder through use of firearm, a charge which qualifies him for the death penalty. Yesterday, prosecutors filed their notice of intent to seek the death penalty, writing in part that he, quote, presents a future danger because he expressed intent to target an entire industry and rally political and social opposition to that industry by engaging in an act of lethal violence. And he took steps to evade law enforcement, flee New York City immediately after the murder, and cross state lines while armed with a privately manufactured firearm and silencer. Earlier this month, after Attorney General Pam Bondi announced she was ordering prosecutors to seek the death penalty, Mangione's attorneys argued, quote, the United States government intends to kill Mr. Mangione as a political stunt. It marked the first time the Justice Department said it was seeking the death penalty since President Trump took office in January, vowing to resume federal executions. Attorney Dante Mills explains the challenges in a death penalty case.
You have an additional burden. You have to prove intent. Intent that he intended to rile up the community or make people act as he did, make people commit murders against people in the healthcare industry. You have to prove that he intended for this to be more than just the killing of one person. And it's really hard to prove what was in somebody's mind.
Mangione is accused of gunning down 50-year-old United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson outside a Midtown hotel on December 4th. A 5-day manhunt led to Mangione's arrest in Pennsylvania.
Mangione has pleaded not guilty to 11 state charges. Allie Bauman will be inside the courtroom for the arraignment this afternoon. She'll have a full wrap-up at 5 o'clock. For now, live outside of the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan, Alice Gaynor, CBS News, New York.
Alice, thank you. Breaking news right now. Disgraced former Congressman George Santos has just been sentenced to 87 months in a federal prison. He pleaded guilty last year to lying to donors and stealing people's identities to fund his campaign. Carolyn Gossoff is outside of the courthouse in Central Islip with the latest.
Mary, we just learned the sentence. George Santos lied his way into Congress, and he just learned that he will be paying the price with 87 months in a federal prison. That's over 7 years. The prosecutors had asked for the max because they said nothing else would capture the depth of his deceptions. Now, you can see Santos walked into the courthouse amid a crush of photographers. He was hugging some supporters who came up to him. His eyes were bloodshot. He looked very somber as he walked into the courtroom. He hung his head and he spoke to the judge. He read a statement. He said through tears that he was humbled, that he had shattered the faith of many people. He had the deepest apologies. He takes responsibility. He admitted that he betrayed his supporters and the institutions that he was sworn to serve. He said that he cannot rewrite the past, but he asked for a balanced sentence. He said, I can still contribute positively to the community I wronged. But the judge didn't buy it. She sentenced him just seconds ago, moments ago, to the max 87 months in prison. This is after he had pled guilty to wire fraud and identity theft. The government essentially said that there were 5 schemes, that he was in 5 criminal schemes, that he faked campaign donors to win support for a congressional run, that he stole from donors. One of them had dementia. He pocketed pandemic and unemployment benefits, and he invented a completely fabricated biography. He even used that in his congressional filings. The government said that he had 21 victims, but that the biggest victim, of course, was the public that he was supposed to serve. And we are expected to hear in a little while from some of those constituents from New York 3. He's also going to be required to pay more than $500,000 in restitution and forfeiture. He did tell the judge in a letter that he is in therapy to try to figure out the character flaws that led him to this moment. His attorney told the judge that he is human. He has flaws, but he said more flaws than the rest of us. Reporting from Central Islip, Carolyn Gossoff, CBS News, New York. Back to you, Mary.
Carolyn, significant developments. Again, George Santos sentenced to 87 months. We'll continue to cover this story. And Carolyn, thank you. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are on their way to Rome for Pope Francis's funeral tomorrow. Former President Joe Biden's office confirms to CBS News that he and the former First Lady will also attend. Tina Krause from the Vatican with the latest. Tina.
Mary, this is the final hour for the faithful to pass by Francis's coffin to say goodbye. We can see the last person in line now because they have cut off access to St. Peter's Square now. These will be the final people who are allowed to go in and pass by the Pope's coffin as he lies in state. Then the doors to St. Peter's Basilica will close, and so will the Pope's coffin. Mourners keep filing into St. Peter's Basilica to spend a few final moments in the Pope's presence before his coffin is sealed tonight. How long did you wait in line?
I think it was about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, so not terrible.
Risa and Peter Walsh from Leesburg, Virginia, came to pay their respects.
He was trying to lift up people and bring us together. Yeah.
Humility, yeah, no doubt.
Which
He's a good man.
Which we need more of in this crazy world.
The Vatican says as of noon Rome time, 150,000 visitors paid homage to the 88-year-old who died Monday. The Vatican says the funeral Pope Francis wanted was one of a pastor and not of a monarch, but royalty will attend. After the funeral, there will be a nearly 4-mile-long procession to the Basilica of St. Mary Major, where Francis chose to be buried. You know he'll be buried in the other church, only in a simple coffin. What do you think of this?
It's a very beautiful gesture. It's really amazing what he's doing. He's showing that he's not better than anyone. He's just a simple man.
The Vatican says the poor and needy will be waiting on the steps of his favorite church, embracing him in death as he did them in life. An American will do the first reading at Pope Francis's funeral tomorrow. 28-year-old Kelsey Gussie, who went to Mount St. Mary's University in Maryland outside Baltimore, well, she's now a journalist for the Vatican and says she only found out 2 days ago that she would have the honor. Our Tony Aiello will be interviewing her, and we'll have more from her later tonight, so stay tuned. Mary?
Tina Kraus, live in Vatican City. Tina, thank you. And you can watch the funeral for Pope Francis tomorrow morning. Live coverage begins at 3:45 on air and streaming on CBS News New York. More progress being made in the fight against a wildfire in Ocean County, New Jersey. The Jones Road wildfire is now 60% contained. That's up from 50% late yesterday. More than 15,000 acres have burned. Police say the wildfire was sparked by 19-year-old Joseph Kling, who started a bonfire in the South Pine Barrens and never put it out. He now faces arson charges. Another disappointing setback for drivers in New Jersey. Repairing a stretch of I-80 that's been plagued by potholes will take longer than expected. Chopper 2 live over the work being done in Wharton, New Jersey. 2 westbound lanes were originally supposed to be reopened on May 4th. New Jersey DOT now says that will not happen until at least the end of May. All lanes of traffic are still on schedule to reopen by June 25th. CBS News has learned the Pentagon installed a direct internet line in Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's office, allowing him to use the encrypted messaging app Signal, bypassing standard Defense Department security protocols. Sources say a computer in Hegseth's office was set up to connect to his personal cell phone, giving him access to Signal messages. Hegseth is facing criticism this week after reports he shared details about impending U.S. airstrikes in Yemen in a private Signal group that included his wife, brother, and attorney. Defense officials have not yet commented. We're getting a look at the brand new community center opening in Central Park in Harlem this afternoon. Officials are cutting the ribbon for the $160 million Davis Center. It's home to a turf field for the spring and fall, a pool for the summer, and an ice rink for winter. It replaces the old rink and pool, which was built in the 60s. The Davis Center opens to the public tomorrow at noon with a free community celebration. This week, 48 Hours features an exclusive interview with the woman convicted last year of killing her husband. The only thing more shocking than the crime is who she says is the real killer. Peter Van Zandt with this Saturday's 48 Hours.
In July 2018, Detective Daniel Hayes of the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office responded when a body was found in the ashes of a burn pile. The victim was 58-year-old Gary Ferris, a wealthy Atlanta attorney. Married to Melody Ferris for 38 years, they'd raised 4 children together.
Was the Ferris family a happy family?
No. A lot of bickering, a lot of fights over money, a lot of jealousy.
It has been called the Ferris wheel, and it was, but it was our Ferris wheel. It was our life.
Investigators learned Melody had been having an affair, son Scott Ferris.
We all found out, we all knew.
Including Gary. Hayes says Gary warned Melody about the money she spent on her affair.
We found text messages where he confronted her and said, you know, your spending is done.
Found guilty of murdering Gary and facing life in prison, Melody shocked many in the courtroom at her sentencing.
I want the world to know who did this. I know Scott killed his father. You set your mother up, she goes to prison, you get everything.
I absolutely had nothing to do with my father's death.
48 Hours correspondent Peter Van Zandt joined us now. And why did Melody wait until her sentencing to accuse her son Scott?
Well, Melody told me in my interview that her mother, Scott's grandmother, who is now deceased, told her that she knew that Scott had committed this murder and that she asked Melody to take the blame for it to spare Scott's life. And after the conviction, though, Melody apparently thought that deal, if it ever really occurred, no longer applied to her. And it was at the sentencing hearing that out of nowhere comes this accusation that she wasn't the killer, that her son Scott was. It's high drama, and it's something you'll see in the course of this hour.
And what is next for Melody Ferris?
She says she's going to appeal. She's been sentenced to life in prison, no chance for parole for 30 years, but she said she will not rest until she is a free woman and her son Scott is led away in chains.
Peter Van Zandt, thank you. And you can watch 48 Hours tomorrow night at 10 o'clock.
All right, warm, hazy, and breezy, the story today. And there's rain on the way. We'll keep it dry, though, for Friday night, overnight. Here comes the showers. It's steadiest in the morning tomorrow, more scattered, but there could be a thunderstorm in the mix Saturday afternoon. And then Sunday, it's gusty and a lot cooler. Here's how it looks by the numbers. 80s inland, 60s along the coast. A decent spread in temperatures today, but it's a nice finish to the week. And yeah, get ready for the bumpy ride over the weekend.
2 people have been killed by stray bullets in 2 separate shootings this week. 28-year-old Margie Daoud died after police say at least one gunman opened fire on a crowd in the Bronx. That happened Wednesday night on University Avenue in Kingsbridge. So far, there are no arrests in that case. Daoud's friend says the loss is devastating.
Very religious kid, very polite, very outgoing. It's a big loss for not just his family, but for the whole community.
Daoud's death comes one day after a stray bullet hit 61-year-old Dexenia Mate in the head, killing her in Harlem. Police say a man is facing charges in that case. A man was dragged for 2.5 blocks in the Bronx after trying to stop someone from stealing his car. Surveillance video shows a car pull up near Wilkinson and Edison yesterday in the Pelham Bay section. Someone gets out, then jumps inside the man's car that appears to be unlocked. The man runs out of a business and tries to stop the suspect, but the car takes off while he is hanging on. He's in critical condition. No arrests have been made. Advocates are sounding the alarm over plans to defund a suicide hotline for LGBTQ youth. A leaked budget draft reveals the Trump administration's proposal to eliminate federal funding to the 988 hotline's LGBTQ youth specialized services. Since launching in 2022, it's provided more than 1.2 million crisis contacts with life-saving services. Studies show in America more than 1.8 million LGBTQ youth are seriously considering suicide each year, and at least one attempts suicide every 45 seconds.
If this funding does get cut, more LGBT kids will die from suicide.
Proposed action takes the LGBTQ plus youth services funding and distributes those dollars to support other parts of the 988 Lifeline.
If the cuts do happen, it would go into effect October 1st of this year. Advocates say they're going to fight back, rolling out emergency fundraising campaigns in the coming weeks.
This is CBS News, New York.
Hey everyone, Tony Sadiku with an update on your first solar forecast, and it's been a great stretch of weather, and we're going to stretch it into your Friday too, but that might be it because we've got some changeable weather into the weekend. Cold front will knock those temperatures down. It's a steep drop off Saturday into Sunday. It's going to be a lot cooler after that rain on Saturday. Highs today, lovely. Really warm, especially if you like June weather. That's basically what we're headed for. Numbers that close in on 80 degrees in city, parts of the Hudson Valley, Connecticut too. Danbury, you can see 79. 80s from Parsippany to Edison, Sussex. Keep in mind, it's going to be cooler along the coast where you are exposed to that onshore breeze. That'll act as some natural air conditioning. Clouds increase over time. There is some wet weather we're tracking across the middle of the country. All that gets swept our way as a cold front moves in tomorrow. Weather's dry during the day today. You'll notice the increase in clouds, increasing humidity, maybe a spotty drizzle late this evening, but then tomorrow morning, that's when the showers could become more widespread and numerous. It's a light to moderate initially, and then there's a break. Midday, doing any errands, a lunch outside, should be okay. Maybe some sun, some spotty showers. Still have the rain gear because we're not completely done. We're waiting for the front to swing through. That may not happen until early evening tomorrow. And with that, there could be some heavier downpours, maybe a risk for some thunder. I think this will be sub-severe. Quickly pushes through the area, and that'll be that. But the clouds will be still sticking around on Sunday, and it's a cooler feel at the back half of the weekend. It's about 15 degrees cooler on Sunday, and it feels like the 50s with a wind that's pretty stiff. Last 12 days, not even a tenth of an inch. So we're falling behind, not just for the season and for the month, but now for the year. How much rain are we expecting out of this? Anywhere from about a half of an inch to an inch of rain. It's all beneficial. It'll help with the fire situation, with the air quality and the smoke too. But then the wind on Sunday could be a force to be reckoned with. 35 to 45 mile an hour gusts could make anything outdoors a bit of a challenge. It's a gusty game for the Yankees that day. Should be a nice game tonight. And maybe you want the ponchos handy for that afternoon game coming up on Saturday. Then we get into next week, and those temperatures rebound. You're back to bright skies. Really nice start to the week, but another front will arrive by the middle of next week.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Calvi. Now on air and streaming on CBS News New York. We begin with that breaking news in Lower Manhattan, where a man is dead after a subway stabbing during the morning rush hour. Police are still searching for a suspect. Zinnia Maldonado joins us from the scene. Zinnia.
Well, Mary, the stabbing took place around 8:30 a.m. this morning while everybody was out here just getting a start to their day. Police say that the stabbing actually took place inside the southbound 5 train, and then the altercation spilled out onto the platform. Police say a 911 call came in reporting that a man had been stabbed here at the Brooklyn Bridge City Hall station. When officers got here, they found a 38-year-old man with multiple stab wounds to the torso. The man was taken to Bellevue Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. His identity has not been released. Police say the suspect then ran off from this station. No arrests have been made. Police say the stabbing may have stemmed from some kind of argument between the victim and the suspect, adding that it may have all started when the victim stepped on the suspect's shoes, and then it escalated from there. Now, there's multiple entrances to the 456 lines here at City Hall. This happened closest to the entrance at the corner of Center and Chambers. Police taping off the turnstiles as detectives took over the station looking for evidence throughout the morning. Now, this morning, riders who tell me they hop on the train here at Brooklyn Bridge all the time, reacting to this stabbing.
I take them daily to go into the office, and the crowds are back, and people's, everyone's on edge. Everyone is just short fused.
I'm not surprised at all. And it needs to come to a stop sooner than later.
Now, the southbound 4, 5, and 6 trains are still bypassing the City Hall Brooklyn Bridge stop, so you want to keep that in mind. Meanwhile, police are still investigating this incident. No arrests have been made. We want to mention again that the suspect did take off from this station. We're live from Lower Manhattan. Zinnia Maldonado, CBS News, New York.
Zinnia, thank you. Stay with CBS News New York for the very latest details on this deadly subway stabbing. You can get updates 24/7 online at cbsnewyork.com. We're following 2 high-profile cases going before judges across New York. Disgraced former Congressman George Santos has just been sentenced to 87 months. And Luigi Mangione is getting arraigned on federal charges in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. We begin with that arraignment, and Alice Gaynor is outside court in Lower Manhattan. And Alice, what is the latest?
Mary, that federal arraignment this afternoon scheduled for 1 p.m. Still, overnight, lots of people gathered outside of the courthouse waiting in line, supporters of his hoping to get a seat inside the courtroom today. Luigi Mangione was arrested back in December, but only recently, 4 months later, was he federally indicted.
Last week, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione was indicted on 4 federal counts, which include 2 counts of stalking, a gun charge, and murder through use of firearm, a charge which qualifies him for the death penalty. Yesterday, prosecutors filed their notice of intent to seek the death penalty, writing in part that he, quote, presents a future danger because he expressed intent to target an entire